Hello everyone, it's Sam, aka Ocean Unknown, and welcome back to my channel. I'm bringing you all another video about the wonderful series Danganronpa Despair Time, which means I've got another Danganronpa Despair Time cosplay. Today I'm cosplaying my favorite gentle giant, Levi Fontana. In today's video, I will be trying to solve the biggest mysteries in Danganronpa Despair Time, but first and foremost, some mysteries will be left out as I've discussed them in my past videos about Despair Time. If you want to know my theories about whose secrets are whose, who killed RA, and who I think is the mastermind, go watch my past videos about this series. Now, enough with all this intro stuff. Let's get into these unsolved mysteries.
As your TV show host, I'm here to bring you a message from the show's director. Murder is A-OK, kids!
I briefly talked about Mai Akasaki in my mastermind prediction, but I'll explain who she is again. Mai is the girl Teruko sees in Chapter 1, Episode 6 in a vision after she is stabbed by Xander. Teruko sees her standing at a crosswalk before she turns around and smiles at her. After blacking out, Teruko says, "It's strange that I would remember her now at all times. What was her name again? It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. Xander always reminded me of that girl. Perhaps that's why I'm thinking of her now. They looked similar, with that same red hair and smile, and they both wanted to help, didn't they?" We know that this mysterious girl is named Mai Akasaki because of the Danganronpa Despair Time website, where hidden in every character bio, the team behind the series added phrases for the fans to find. A majority of the phrases have been interpreted to relate to the secrets of the characters, like Wit's phrase saying, "We tend to idolize the dead," which was a hint towards his secret that his mother, whom he idolizes, is actually dead. In Mono TV's character bio, its secret message is, "Her name is Mai Akasaki." If you type in the Danganronpa Despair Time URL and add Mai Akasaki to the end, it takes you to this page that reads, "All you have to do is ask for my hand, and I'll give it to you. Ask for my life, and I'll give it to you as well. Don't apologize for asking. I'll give you my forgiveness too." In that quote, several letters are underlined, which spells out AOAVIEPKRO, which just seems like gibberish, but will come into play later. Upon further inspection of this website, you find this message. Are you still searching for a secret? For some explanation that will satisfy you? There's no answer I can give you that'll make you happy. Maybe I should have lied instead. I'm sorry. If you type in the Despair Time bio again, but with the letter code from Mai's message, AOAVIEPKRO, this is how we find Mai Akazaki's character bio. It says she is the ultimate question mark, which, if you're unfamiliar with the Danganronpa series and fan-made versions of it, the ultimate question mark is very common, meaning the character holding that title is either hiding their ultimate talent, like in the case of Kyoko Kirigiri and Rantaro Amami, or they don't remember their talent like Hajime Hinata. Her main quote reads, "There's a way for you to be happy," and as I mentioned in my mastermind prediction video, her character bio is only one sentence and changes when you refresh the page. I didn't know this at the time I made the mastermind video, but there are 17 phrases that you can get when refreshing, and attached to each phrase is a code related to one of the currently known 17 characters. I will be discussing which phrase is connected to what character, and what this could possibly mean for these characters in a moment. What we learn about Mai from these 17 sentences is that she has a flower tattoo on her arm, she cares about her family and friends a lot, and that she tried to contact Teruko in the past. The Danganronpa Despair Time fanbase has also theorized that the unknown student in Min and Xander's bonus episodes is Mai, meaning that Mai would be a fellow student of the Ultimates in Despair Time's killing game. This unknown student is shown to be very comforting to Min and Xander, and they're able to confide in her about their troubles of imposter syndrome in Min's case and survivor's guilt in Xander's. However, this still leaves a lot of questions. If Mai does in fact have an ultimate talent, what is it? What was her relationship to the other students? Why was she looking for Teruko? What is her connection to the killing game? Is Mai even alive? I'll try my best to theorize what the answers could be to these questions. First of all, Mai's ultimate talent is a complete mystery if she actually has one. If she is the unknown student in Min and Xander's bonus episodes, then she has to have one since she attends Hope's Peak with the other students, which is a school for ultimates only, unless there's a reserve course which is non-ultimate students who paid a lot of money to attend Hope's Peak. Min's bonus episode also basically confirms that some of, if not all of the students in the killing game and this unknown student were already at Hope's Peak Academy attending school and were then kidnapped and put into the killing game. We know that the unknown student and Min were already attending the school before the killing game, but the idea that all of them were is contradicted by Xander talking about David's speeches in his bonus episode. However, it is confirmed that the students in the killing game lost a few years of their memories right before the killing game. Personally, I do think Mai has an ultimate talent and was the unknown student in Min and Xander's bonus episodes. As far as what Mai's talent is, the only clue in her appearance could be her floral tattoo, but floral tattoos are incredibly common, so I don't think she's a botanist or floral artist or anything like that. I think her talent has to do with encouragement and how she uplifts everyone and wants them all to be happy. Maybe the ultimate life coach, or maybe the ultimate therapist. It's also kind of interesting that in this cast, we already have someone whose talent revolves around encouraging and uplifting people, the ultimate inspirational speaker, David Cham. However, the irony of it all is that David is a fraud who, in his own secret's wording, exists to manipulate others. It would actually be interesting if Mai was actually the ultimate inspirational speaker and David was secretly like the ultimate fraud or the ultimate manipulator or something. This plays even further into an idea I had in my last Despair Time video about the possibility of David being the mastermind or traitor and pulling a Mikado, meaning revealing he's behind the killing game, possibly with Mai right then and there. However, that's just a theory. A David theory. Thanks for watching. There's also a very popular theory that Mai, like Teruko, is an ultimate lucky student who got into Hope's Peak by lottery. The evidence that backs this theory up is that at Hope's Peak Academy, the maximum number of students in a class is 16. It's possible that Teruko was not a part of the class of characters plus Mai, and was in a different class at Hope's Peak where she met Mai. I, however, have a stronger theory of what Mai's talent is. I think Mai Akasaki is the ultimate hope. For those unfamiliar with the Danganronpa series, the ultimate hope is typically reserved for the protagonists as they confront the mastermind of the killing game, as the major conflict of the Danganronpa series is hope versus despair. The mastermind is the ultimate despair, and the character fighting against them is the ultimate hope. Mai uplifts and encourages everyone to feel their emotions regarding their traumas, and helps them move on with their lives. If she is the unknown student in the bonus episodes, we see her help Xander overcome his feelings towards his family's deaths and his survivor's guilt, since he was studying in England when they died, and we see her help Min understand that she deserves to be at Hope's Peak as the ultimate student. Her positivity and uplifting attitude leads me to believe she'll be Despair Time's take on the ultimate hope, which might end up being called the ultimate trust, since Despair Time's main theme is trust versus betrayal. Now, as far as my next question of what is her relationship to the other students, I do think Mai was friends and was attending school with the entire cast, except maybe Teruko since she was looking for her. Now, why was Mai looking for Teruko? In one of her character bios, it reads, several years ago, she was searching for Teruko, and how it's worded, it sounds like she didn't know Teruko before finding her, and from chapter 1 episode 6, Mai wanted to help Teruko with something. With what? Honestly, I don't know. None enough has been revealed about Teruko Tawaki and her past for me to make a good enough accurate prediction. Another question that lacks explanation for me to make an accurate hypothesis is what is Mai's connection to the killing game? I do think Mai knew all of the students before the killing game, and could possibly be a mysterious 17th student introduced like Kizuragi was in Danganronpa Another, or she could possibly be in association with the person behind the killing game. Or, as the last question hasn't been answered yet, Mai could already be dead. Her 17 character bio switch between present and past tense, which could imply that before the killing game even started, Mai passed away. I also could have had the idea that Mai was already dead in my mastermind prediction video because of my theory that Teruko and possibly other characters have the same floral tattoo that Mai has, since the majority of the cast has something covering their left arm. It's possible that some of them could have gotten the same tattoo as Mai as a way to remember and memorialize her. Nonetheless, it could be an interesting reveal if Mai was possibly killed by one of the 16 students, whether accidentally or intentionally, and that the game show was a form of punishment for the students for covering up Mai's murder. Kind of like the show Remind, where 11 Japanese students are trapped and start disappearing one by ruining one of their fellow students' lives. This theory is backed up by Mono TV saying that no one will look for the students in the killing game in part 5 of the prologue, which could imply that this is a punishment for the students, and this is backed up by the justice system, almost kind of like the White Bear episode of Black Mirror. This theory could further also explain why all of the characters at Despair Time to varying degrees are unlikable. The creators could be creating this foreboding sense that the characters did something unforgivable like killing Mai, and are lessening the blow of the reveal by creating characters unsympathizable by making some of them arrogant, some of them extremely hostile, some of them manipulative, so on and so forth. However, this is all just speculation, so let's move on.
In any case, it seems that I've gotten into quite the troubling situation. I wonder just how far this killing game show will go.
Like I mentioned earlier, in each character bio, there's a secret message about the character, and on Mai's character page, each of her 17 sentences corresponds to the 17 characters in Danganronpa Despair Time. Starting with the characters' messages, I already mentioned that Mono TV's message revealed Mai's name, so we can skip over Mono TV. Going in order of appearance in the show, Teruko's secret message is, "It is an equal failing to trust everybody and to trust no one at all." This is most likely talking about Teruko's struggle in the story of trusting everyone, as she believes trusting others will lead to her getting betrayed again. Moving on to Xander, his message has the definition of survivor's guilt. Feelings of guilt for having survived a catastrophe in which others died. In my video about David's reveal, I talked about how this could correlate to what I think is Xander's secret in Chapter 2, which is that he blames himself for the deaths of his parents and siblings, and that he feels he shouldn't have left home. He feels survivor's guilt since it's heavily implied that his family died in a horrible accident where death was inevitable while he was away studying in England. Next is Eden, and her message reads, "You can't go back, no matter how hard you try," which is harder to interpret with what we know about Eden than some of the other characters. Her secret revealed in Chapter 2 is that she likes women, and she feared that her sexuality would ruin her friendships, which doesn't seem to correlate too much with her message. I think this could possibly be connected with what she says to Teruko in Chapter 2, Episode 3, about how she believes optimism isn't a sign of naivety and weakness, and I sort of think something happened to Eden that hurt her emotionally, and she found comfort and happiness through optimism and making her friends happy. Eden openly says in the scene that she knows how cruel the world is, and she actively chooses to be kind to everyone. I think the thing she can't go back to will be revealed in a future chapter, and we'll get more development in Eden's character moving forward. There's a couple characters' secret messages I discussed in my video about David's reveal, so I'll be brief with their messages. Whose message is, "I want to pay for what I've done, but even then, I still want to live," which I think alludes to her insecurities and about being useful, but I think this also hints at her secret being the one about being a hopeless child. Veronica's message reads, "Once something has been broken, it can never be pieced together in the same way again. The same goes for people," which I think has to do with what she tells Teruko in Chapter 2, Episode 7 about her fear of messing up and how that fear excites her. I also think this hints at her secret, which I predict is the one about her talent stopping her from hurting herself. Levi's message says, "I always believe that a person is defined by their actions alone, but maybe that's just a poor excuse for your heartlessness," which alludes to his mysterious past, which he's mentioned a couple times. I also believe his secret is that he's a murderer with no remorse, but I think he either did it in self-defense or was potentially a hitman in the past, since he mentions that he's very new to his talent as a personal stylist and that his family disowned him, which is likely because of what happened in his past, along with how he responds to Ace attacking him in the first trial. Lastly, in the characters I discussed in David's video is Min, whose message is, "I wanted to save you," which could relate to her wanting to save Teruko in Chapter 1, but could also be about how she wanted to help her family get out of poverty by becoming the ultimate student. Now moving on to the characters I have yet to discuss, Jay's message reads, "Don't call me your daughter ever again," which clearly is about Jay's complicated relationship with her mother, Maria Bella Rosales, a famous actress. Moving on to David, his message is, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I wish you could just die," which is also kind of hard to pin down. A lot of people speculate that David is saying this to himself, which supports a common theory that how David acts in Chapter 2, Episode 11 is another fake personality, because David genuinely believes he killed R.A., and he's masking his self-hatred boiling over with acting like a cynical villain. This theory states that David actually had no part in R.A.'s murder and genuinely believes that he drove R.A. to suicide, since Mono TV says if one of the students were to commit suicide, there would be no class trial, so since they're having a class trial, David believes that he is the killer because of the conversation R.A. had with him the night she died in the relaxation room. Many believe that David is acting this way to make himself out to be an irredeemable monster deserving of a sadistic execution so he can be content with his own demise, which makes sense as to why he says he doesn't want to be pathetic like Min, who was visibly terrified before her execution. However, it's unclear, and I don't think it will be clear until the hiatus ends, what David's true intentions are and why he is the way he is. I do think that David is a very manipulative person who manipulated the cast of characters into giving him this role as the hope of the group, and his inspirational speaker career is at least somewhat of a lie. But I do think he has a lot of self-hatred and is using this melodramatic villain persona to hide any guilt he has. Nonetheless, he's still a bad person who hurt the students in the Killing Game and probably hundreds of thousands of people who took his advice in his speeches, but we'll have to see where the writers take his character once the hiatus is over. Moving on to Arturo, his message reads, you hated them, but even that doesn't justify what you did. Which it's pretty easy to predict this is about his family, who Arturo seems to have a very strained relationship with. In Chapter 2, Episode 10, it's revealed that Arturo's sister committed suicide, and in some form, Arturo is to blame. When Eden tells him that this is his secret, Arturo goes into complete denial, saying it's not his fault and says, "How is it possibly my fault that I wanted to live my own life?" He also tells Jay that he wishes he had a brother and not a sister, so it's clear that Arturo's relationship with his family, especially with his dad's sister, is incredibly complicated. However, I think more will be revealed about Arturo's situation with his family in a future chapter. Next is Ace, whose secret message is, "I don't know what to do with myself anymore," which could relate to two things about Ace. Number one, Ace doesn't actually like being a jockey and is scared of horses, but his fear of failure is what pushes him to continue competing as a jockey. And two, it is revealed in Chapter 2, Episode 9 that Ace's secret is that he is suffering from an eating disorder, and this message could refer to how his behavior is self-destructive to him. Moving on to Wit, I mentioned earlier in this video that his message is, "We tend to idolize the dead," which very clearly relates to how his mother is dead, but he loves and tries to emulate her in his life. Next is Charles, whose message reads, "If you forgot it, then it probably wasn't important to begin with. None of those memories should ever be kept anyway," which most likely refers to his secret in Chapter 2, which is that his older brother passed away, but Charles has no memories of him. Next is RA, whose message is, "Because that's what friends do," which most likely is about how in Chapter 2 she makes an effort to be a nicer and better friend. Moving on to Nico, their message reads, "Why should I own up for the mistakes that someone else made?" which is another one that doesn't have too much information yet. We know that Nico was bullied and ridiculed for being non-binary, so it's likely that this is what it's referring to, but it could be something else, maybe related to Nico's attempt on Ace's life. Lastly is Rose, whose message is, "In the end, the only thing I can do is watch my wretched life go on," which likely refers to how Rose's talent as an art forger caused her family to go into debt, and her regrets about her life and how she feels she is stuck in a limbo of paying off her mistakes and not being able to call her artwork her own. Now we're going to move on to the sentences from Mai's character bio and which character is connected to them. First off, it's pretty obvious that the sentence that represents Teruko is the one that names drops her. Some years ago, she was searching for someone named Teruko Tawaki. A girl who loves her family represents Charles, and is likely because of his older brother, but also because Charles thinks fondly of his childhood and wealthy upbringing. She remembers everything that is important to others represents Rose, which is definitely about how Rose has a photographic memory. Arturo's sentence is, "A girl who sees beauty in everyone," which clearly represents how much he values beauty above all else. A girl with a floral tattoo on her arm represents Levi, which most likely has to do with his art and fashion related talent as a personal stylist, but it's also important to note that Levi is in the majority of characters whose left arms are covered, which is where Mai's tattoo is. Wit's sentence is, "A girl with many friends," which likely relates to how Wit is a friendly, outgoing person. She kept calling the number even though no one picked it up represents Eden, which is likely correlating to how Eden tries to boost morale and spread kindness to everyone, but is often rejected and seen as just a stupid, naive child. She kept a secret and told no one represents Jay, which correlates with Jay secretly being the daughter of famous actress Mariabella Rosales. A girl who wanted to keep everyone safe is Who, because of Who's nature of wanting to protect everyone for the greater good and be the mother figure for everyone. Everyone confided in her is Nico, which could represent how Nico has a caretaking side as a pet therapist, but also how Nico in the story has been struggling to express their emotions regarding the current situation and their identity. A girl who had a bright future represents Ace, which likely relates back to how Ace hates his talent as the ultimate jockey since he's scared of horses and failure. RA's sentence is, "She doesn't like when her friends fight," which may seem ironic for RA since she caused a lot of the arguments and fights between the students, but this could represent how RA deep down wanted everyone to survive the killing game, but didn't know how to give people hope other than being condescending and hurtful and preaching about the dog-eat-dog world she sees society as. An average girl with nothing special at all about her is Min, which relates to Min's bonus episode and how she feels like she doesn't deserve to be the ultimate student. She couldn't stand to do nothing represents Xander because of his talent as the ultimate rebel and how he was the first to make a move in the killing game by stabbing Teruko. A girl who didn't foresee the consequences is Veronica, likely because of what she says to Teruko in Chapter 2, Episode 7 about how there's no consequences in fiction and her fear of messing up. David's sentence is, "She forgives everyone," which is likely because of how he acted before Chapter 2, Episode 11, like when he helped RA deal with her guilt after revealing her secret. And lastly, Mono TV's sentence is, "It's all your fault," which is most likely referring to how Mono TV is being controlled by the mastermind to facilitate the killing game. Lastly, under the About page on the Despair Time website, there's another secret message that reads, "You don't understand, do you? I used to be like you. I barely remember, but I used to be like you. I cared so much about people. I cried every time someone was hurt. I suffered for a long time stuck in here caring about people. I know what you're going through. You're going to hold on as long as you have, with hope that you can make it out of here with everyone. Then you're going to despair. That lasts a while too. Then you'll get bored, like me, and you'll wish you were still suffering. Anything else is better than boredom. I wish I could feel something, anything else, other than being bored. I'm stuck in here for eternity, and I know everything that could possibly happen. I know how everyone reacts to a murder, what makes people turn to despair, what fills people with hope and makes them survive until we all run out of food and starve to death. I wish I could feel terrified or afraid or angry, but I can't anymore. I don't feel anything at all except boredom. Do you understand, teacher? This is why I'm letting you suffer as long as possible, because it's better than the alternative. I'm sorry. I don't envy you. You'll understand eventually." This hidden message leaves a lot of questions. Who is saying this? Was this said before or after the students were put into the killing game? And many more. When I first read this, the first person I thought that could have said this is Veronica, specifically because of the part about anything being better than boredom, but I don't know who she'd be saying this to. Maybe Mai, since she seems to be the voice of encouragement for this group of students? I could also see Teruko being the one to say this, and she'd also be saying this to Mai, since as Teruko said in chapter 1, episode 6, Mai tried to help her. Mai could also be the one saying this, and this could possibly hint at Mai actually being in ultimate despair, which could arguably be an interesting twist. The beacon of hope becoming entranced by despair, and I think she'd say this to Teruko. Lastly, there's a possibility that the character saying this isn't even a character from Despair Time, but is the original mastermind of Danganronpa, Junko Enoshima. Junko's whole dilemma was that despair keeps her from being bored, which is her worst fear, and this hidden message fits her ideology perfectly. Also, Danganronpa Despair Time takes place in the canon story of the Danganronpa world, about 60 to 80 years after the original tragedy, which happened about a year after the events of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. This is the least likely of theories, but then again, Junko always finds her way back into Danganronpa. In the words of William Afton,
"Always come back."
As far as when this was said, I think it happened before the events of Despair Time, mostly because of the last line, "You'll understand eventually," probably alluding to Despair Time's killing game. Overall, I think these hidden messages are very interesting and give a lot of insight to create theories and speculation about these characters.
It really makes me mad how much Duke Spurling got away with. I still want him to suffer more for his selfishness.
Duke and Richard Spurling are characters referenced in Danganronpa Despair Time by two characters. First, in Xander's bonus episode, he says, "It really makes me mad how much Duke Spurling got away with. I still want him to suffer more for his selfishness." And then in chapter 2, episode 5, when Rose says Richard Spurling bailed her out of jail when she was 15 due to her art forgery. Rose also says Richard Spurling is a billionaire who founded the Spurling Foundation, and after bailing Rose out of jail, he offered to clear her charges and pay off her fines, but under the condition that she signed a contract to work for him and that any artwork she'd make would belong to the Spurling Foundation. From these small bits of information about Duke and Richard Spurling from Xander and Rose, we know that they are rich and powerful figures who are able to get away with basically anything. From Xander's perspective, Duke Spurling is in some form responsible for the Sheridan disaster that killed his family but got away with it, and Richard Spurling was able to bail Rose out of jail, which Rose says her bail bond was 10 times the price of her painting she forged, which was likely millions of dollars. On August 1st, 2023, the creators of Danganronpa Despair Time hosted a Q&A on their website where they revealed that Duke and Richard Spurling are two different people.
I am Drew. I am Danny. And we are not the same person.
They explain that Duke is or was a politician and is about 80 years old, alluding to the fact that Duke Spurling was alive during the tragedy and the events of the canon Danganronpa games. On the other hand, Richard Spurling is a billionaire philanthropist who founded the Spurling Foundation, a philanthropic foundation. Duke is not connected to the foundation, but he was given plenty of generous political donations from the foundation when he was active in politics. They are also brothers. It's likely that Duke and Richard Spurling are somehow involved in the killing Killing Game, most likely how the show was able to be greenlit and produced. While Mono TV says in the prologue that the outside world is okay with watching young visionaries like the Ultimate Students kill each other for entertainment, it's likely that the rights to create this sadistic game show were given due to financial reasons and the amount of money that someone like Duke or Richard Spurling could have given to the producers. I'm sure that more about Duke and Richard Spurling will be revealed in later chapters and how they could possibly be related to the students in the Killing Game.
One day, we were visited by the founder of that big company, XF-Ture Tech.
In Min's bonus episode, Min explains how the founder of a big tech company, XF-Ture Tech, visited her one day in her childhood. He told her parents that he would sponsor her and pay for all of the expenses for her to take the ultimate contest, which was the test that determined who would become the ultimate student and attend Hope's Peak Academy. All he asked for was that in 12 years when the test was given out, Min would win and become the ultimate student. In the aforementioned Q&A on the Despair Time website, the creators mentioned that XF-Ture Tech is not connected to the Spurling Foundation and that XF-Ture Tech is a for-profit tech company that also seems to do a lot of other things. There isn't much to explore regarding what exactly this company is besides a large technology company, but I have an odd theory that connects XF-Ture Tech and the Spurling Foundation I just discussed. In the original Danganronpa series, the alumni of Hope's Peak Academy who survived the killing school life of the first game formed an organization to combat the ultimate despair, and this foundation was called the Future Foundation. Noticeably, the two organizations in Despair Time each have the words future and foundation in them, which could be a little fun Easter egg, but I think it would be interesting if both of these companies could be relevant to the Killing Game in some way. It could be possible that XF-Ture Tech rid the ultimate contest so Min would end up in the Killing Game or simply be at Hope's Peak, or another theory I think is true is that XF-Ture Tech built Mono TV. Regardless, this company is only mentioned once in a bonus episode, so we'll see if they have any relevance in the story as it continues. I first heard about this theory in a TikTok edit to the song Anonymous M by Pinocchio P and Hatsune Miku, where many people believe that Rose is secretly an AI. I couldn't find exact reasoning for why this became a theory, but it's likely that people think this because Rose is not the most expressive emotionally, she has a photographic memory, and she is incredibly smart. Upon further research, I also learned that Rose wasn't the only character people predicted was secretly not human. On tvtropes.org, their speculation page states that many believed Min was secretly a robot as well. The reasoning behind this theory was that Min was an ideal student who focused on education and that her hair covers her eyes, which led many to believe that her eyes were robotic. Of course, that theory has been completely proven false, and I don't think the Rose theory is true either. I just think Rose is a lot smarter than most think she is because of her tired and chill attitude. Despite my liking of AI-related plot twists, I have only one thing to say about this theory. To quote Toby Determined from Gravity Falls,
"Your little knees must be sore from jumping to conclusions. Ha-cha-cha."
Voting time!
I talked about this in my video about David briefly, but in the Chapter 1 trial after Min confesses to killing Xander and trying to frame Teruko, everyone votes for her as the killer, except 2 people who voted for Teruko. In said video about David, I predicted that the people who voted for Teruko were some combination between Teruko herself, David, and Min, but I've also heard that many people believe RA voted for Teruko because in the trial she said she'd vote for Teruko no matter what. Personally, I think Teruko did vote for herself out of concealed pity and because she reprimanded everyone for voting for Min despite their grief. As far as the second person, I think it was Min because while she felt guilty for killing Xander and framing Teruko and was well aware of the fact that she was going to be executed, she still wanted to live and escape the Killing Game. And the last resort would have been to vote for Teruko even after Min's case was closed. Another question from Chapter 1 is, who told Xander to kill Teruko? Which I already discussed in the David video as well. Even with all the theories I talked about in this video about him, I still think David was the one who told Xander to kill Teruko. It's unclear exactly why he did this, but it's likely that David could be in cahoots with the mastermind as the traitor and wanted to get the Killing Game started but not get his hands bloody, or David genuinely believed killing Teruko could end the Killing Game and use the person closest to him at this point, Xander, to execute his plan. As of now, David's intentions are very ambiguous, and it's quite vague if David is truly a malicious person or if he's just a liar but overplays himself as an evil, vicious person because of his own self-hatred.
You guys should pause and read this carefully, because it's probably going to be useful.
In Chapter 1, Mono TV gives the characters weapons to encourage them to commit murder, and in Chapter 1, Episode 8, Wit makes a list of these weapons. Upon first inspection, most of these weapons do have to do with the character's talents. David gets a megaphone since he's a motivational speaker, Arturo receives a scalpel since he's a surgeon, Veronica has a horror movie collection. Does this even qualify as a weapon? However, 3 of these weapons are a little suspicious. Jay received a universal remote, which, as explained in Chapter 1, Episode 4, can control the lights and TVs in the building the students are in. While Jay could have received this weapon because she is an effects artist and possibly works with stage lighting because special effects is a wide range of skills, this remote seems very powerful in trying to get away with murder. However, it is likely because she is an effects artist. Wit, on the other hand, got probably the least threatening weapon in the form of stationery. Like, the most life-threatening thing that could be in a stationery set is a pair of scissors. Like, come on. Is Wit going to give someone paper cuts with pretty paper to kill them? However, this weapon, courtesy of Lisa Frank, is actually deadly with the fact that stationery could easily be used to make fake notes to divert attention from a killer's identity or important information. And lastly, Levi's weapons are brass knuckles, and at this rate, it's crazy that they didn't give him a mini sewing kit as a weapon. While an argument can be made that brass knuckles were given to Levi since he wears them and he's a personal stylist, I think the brass knuckles being his weapon further points to Levi secretly being a hitman or something else in relation to his mysterious past and sometimes deadly demeanor. However, we'll have to wait to see where the significance is.
Unfortunately, I don't have access to any instrument right now, but if you want to hear my music, I could always sing for you. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
On May 29th, 2023, the Danganronpa Despair Time YouTube channel released a character playlist with 16 songs, presumably for the 16 characters in the Killing Game. Hi, so update, they deleted the playlist. It's unclear if these are songs that the characters would enjoy themselves, songs that just generally fit their vibes, or songs that represent their feelings, backstories, and lore. I tried my best to assign each character a song on the playlist, taking into consideration both the song's vibe and energy, as well as the lyrics. Going in order of the songs on the playlist, the first song is the theme song for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable. I think this song is for Xander because it's fun and has a rebellious, in-your-face tone to it, which fits Xander's talent as the ultimate rebel and his boisterous, outgoing personality. Next is Sing Along by Sturgill Simpson, which I think is for Teruko. The first lyric of the song is, words can stab deep as night and cut like a razor thorn, which fits Teruko's storyline of betrayal and distrust. Next is Run Away by Half Alive, which I believe is for Arturo. This song has several references to perfectionism, which Arturo definitely has a bit of an obsession with anyone he deems as a perfect person in terms of appearance, and the song is about running away to bigger and better things, which is a theme with Arturo's story. Arturo wishes he had a better life and left his family, which led to the death of his sister. There's also a little bit of irony since the dad in the story of Runaway is named Jay, and in Despair Time, Arturo acts very creepy towards Jay since Arturo sees Jay's mother as a perfect, beautiful person. Up next is Cartoons by Louis Zong, which I think is for Rose. The song is about the process artists go through and about feeling empty or just in a neutral state. Rose is an artist and is one of the less expressive with her emotions. Moving on to Asymptomatic by Louis Zong, I believe this song is for Charles. This song is a cute love song with a bunch of math puns, which absolutely fits Charles since he's a chemist, and I'll admit it, I do think Charles and Wit would be cute together, so Charles' song being a love song with puns is so cute since Wit is the ultimate matchmaker and he loves a good joke. Moving on to I Aru no Kanchigai by Flower. This is one of the harder ones to determine, but I landed on Levi. There's a lot of themes of love in the song, but also lack of love, with the phrase I Aru no Kanchigai meaning misunderstanding of love. This was a last-minute assignment, but Levi does struggle with his feelings, but deep down wants to be a caring person to all of the characters. Next is Shunran by Joe/Tubo, which I think is for David. The song is about someone's frustration over being put on a pedestal by others, and then during the song, the person's persona breaks and reveals a horrifying person. This fits David incredibly well since in Chapter 1, Episode 5, he expressed disdain over being idolized, and then in Chapter 2, Episode 11, he changes his appearance and becomes a more villainous character. Moving on to Niru Kachigu by Yes Man and covered by Noristi. This was the other one I struggled pinning down. I honestly just picked the last character who didn't have a song yet, and that ended up being Nico. The only evidence I have for this being Nico's song is that at the end, the singer sings, "For an introvert just waiting, this is the finest life." Nico is definitely more of an introvert and struggles with conversation. The other lyric that makes sense with Nico is, "Yeah, face the things you hate and tell them you hate them without any euphemisms. You can say that and you're still just a kid. Which definitely reminds me of Nico's conflict with Ace. Up next is Undead Enemy by Kagami and Rin, which I think is for Min. Specifically the lyric, 100 marks, a failing mark, makes me think of Min's focus on studying and schoolwork and how she experiences imposter syndrome about being the ultimate student. Next is Drawing Pins by Nothing But Thieves, which I have assigned to Veronica. For one, the song references the occult in the lyric, I could use some magic, come on Crowley, let me in, which correlates with Veronica's talent as the ultimate horror fanatic. In addition, this song has themes of toxic, unrequited love, and while Veronica doesn't necessarily have a one-sided crush on someone in the Killing Game, she did become infatuated by Arturo and David by their lack of morality, which in turn makes everyone uncomfortable. This could be seen as a form of toxic, unrequited love, as Veronica doesn't care about morals, just that she feels she must be fascinated and entertained. Next is Second Original, which I think is for RA. Specifically the lyric, in this world, it seems that weak people bend reason and raise your voice, that's how your life is. I don't know anything else. Screams RA since she believes weak people are wrong about the world and will be trampled upon by those who are evil. She also believes in this dog-eat-dog way of the world because it's all she's ever known. Moving on to Tiptoes by Half Alive, I think this is the song for Who. The song has themes of needing to be important, which relates to Who's need to be seen as useful by everyone. Next is Polygonal by Flower, which is assigned to Eden. The song references rust a lot, which could tie into Eden's talent as a clockmaker, and one of the lyrics is, everyone wants to laugh with someone, which could reference Eden's desire to spread kindness and be friends with everyone. Moving on to Spitfire 05 version by The Prodigy, I think this song represents Ace. The song is very boisterous and fits Ace's all bark no bite, don't mess with me attitude. Next is Death's Rotation by RQ Logi 2, which I think is Jay's song. This song has no lyrics but has a techie vibe, and the picture for the song has bright colors, which reminds me of Jay's design with all the paint splatter on her t-shirt. Last but not least is Good Grief by Bastille, which I think represents Wit. The song explicitly talks about missing someone the singer loves, and this could represent Wit's love for his deceased mother and how he tries to remember her in sweet ways, like dyeing his hair blonde like her. All in all, these are just speculation, and I'm most likely wrong about all of these, so don't take my words too seriously. This is all just fun speculation.
At that time, watching Min, I kept thinking. How utterly pathetic she was.
On July 21st, 2023, the Danganronpa Despair Time YouTube channel released their first video in over 3 months with a fan-made music video of the song Literature Girl Insane by Karasuya Saibo. The music video features David and mimics the art of the original visuals of the song from 2012, with David taking place of the girl sitting in the red and gold chair with a red slash covering her eyes. In the song, the main takeaway is that the singer views everyone they are singing the song about and themselves as common idiots playing with anonymous hopes when evil is inevitable. The song references a Japanese satirical novel, I Am a Cat, by Natsume Soseki, which commentates on society in a people-watching manner, as well as The Setting Sun, a Japanese novel by Osamu Dazai, which is about the downfall of an aristocratic family during the early years of World War II, and the novel No Longer Human, also by Osamu Dazai. No Longer Human is about a man who is incapable of showing his true self and maintains a facade of jocularity. Upon looking at the lyrics of the song, this song perfectly matches David's personality. After all, even if we cry, make noise, shout, go mad, the world won't change is probably the lyric that fits him the best, with him refuting his past statement that people can always change. Moving on to the fan-made music video, the video starts with a text screen saying forgive as the song starts and the lyrics are displayed. As the chorus starts, David is shown with his Chapter 2, Episode 11 appearance with a red slash over his eyes with text that says no one, a green book in his left hand, and various items around him. The noteworthy things around him are pictures of Teruko and either Mai or Xander. It's unclear who exactly it is because there's no eye patch in the picture. A picture frame with an X through it that looks like the ones they use for the dead students in the class trial, a grandfather clock with a fork stabbed through the clock face, a skull, a knife, a pistol, a Monokuma plushie, a black and white cat, a megaphone, a Stop and Walk Street sign, and one of those drawing figurines that sort of look like marionettes. Some of these objects are already a part of the Killing Game, like the picture frame, skull, and the knife, pistol, and megaphone, which were the weapons given to Teruko, Xander, and David, but I can explain the significance of the others. The grandfather clock having a fork stabbed through the face is a reference to the opening scene of Despair Time, where a mysterious figure says they must kill Teruko. In the pile of pink blood, you can see a fork. A lot of people also suspect this has something to do with Xander and his eye. Since his eye injury looks like small sharp scratches, it's possible that a fork could have been the weapon used to rip his eye out. The Monokuma plushie is there since Despair Time takes place in the world of the official Danganronpa series, and the cat is probably there to represent Mono TV. The Stop and Walk Street sign is probably a reference to the scene in Chapter 1, Episode 6 of Mai seeing Teruko before crossing the street. Lastly, the marionettes or drawing figures is likely to reference David's manipulation of others and how he's able to control the course of action like a puppeteer. 29 seconds into the music video, text appears that says, "Welcome to sadness, population 1. All my friends have left me. They look back at me with eyes of pity. Come back, friends. Let's talk together, laugh together. But no, you turn away as if we've never met. Speak up, friends. Ask away. I'll tell you anything. It was me. These are the hands that pulled Sono under. In my satanic insolence, I prayed for my salvation in the same breath that I prayed Sono would die." This is text from another one of Osamu Daisai's novels, The Flowers of Buffoonery. This novel shares the same protagonist as the previously mentioned no longer human, Oba Yozo, who finds out his lover Sono died, and later on in the story, Yozo is charged with assisting Sono's suicide. The reference to this novel makes sense as David's confession in Chapter 2, Episode 11 is that he killed R.A. via assisted suicide. In teal, another string of text reads, "How idiotic. What does it matter what my name is?" I came to this realization. I turned over and over on the floor. I clutched at my head, pounded my chest. I pounded my legs and laughed. I laughed and laughed and laughed. I was choking on my tears as my laughter twisted. Will there ever again be anything like this? Or rise up from the earth? I couldn't find if this quote is from something specific, but the context of this text does relate to how David acts. Upside down, there is also yellow text that reads, "Control anyone who has lied with the ill, usually admit it often out of sheer necessary to guess right to produce. That is the only way to conduct this case. Each passenger in turn consider his or her and say to myself, if so-and-so is lying, that point is he lying? And what is the reason to lie? And I answer, if he is lying, it could only be for such reason and on point." Once again, I could not find what this could possibly be a reference to. Not long after, red text covers everything and simply reads, "Fuck you." After the credits for the song and music video are shown, a couple screens of wingdings are shown. Now, I am not experienced with wingdings, but luckily many people in the comments section have already translated it. The wingdings translates to a very important message. We're no strangers to love, you know the rules, and so do I. A full commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. I'm telling the absolute truth. Danganronpa Despair Time just rickrolled us. At the 37-second mark, text appears reading, "An archaic persona pronoun rarely used in real life, but popularized in fiction by the book." This is another reference to I Am a Cat, and this is on the line in the song, "I am a cat, dog, whatever." To the left of the video, bright green text reads, "So-called human beings, one and all, conduct themselves with the most arrogant audacity, taking undue pride on their superior strength. There is no knowing how far they will carry on their arrogance. If some stronger creatures do not appear in the world that suppress them, such an instance of selfishness, however, may be conveniently regarded. I have been informed of a much more mental proof of human wickedness," which is yet another reference to I Am a Cat. At the 47-second mark, there's text that reads, "Mine has been a life full of much shame. I can't even guess myself what it must be to live a life of a human being. I was born in a village in the northeast, and it wasn't until I was quite big that I saw my first train. I climbed up and down the station bridge, quite unaware that its function was to permit people to cross from one track to another. I was convinced that the bridge had been provided to lend an exotic touch and promises a place of pleasant. I remained." This is a quote from No Longer Human. The camera shifts to the right, revealing more text that reads, "We will live in perpetual struggle with the old morality, like falling slanted sun. You, too, please continue to fight your struggle. The revolution is far from taking place. It needs more, many more valuable, unfortunate victims. The present world, the most beautiful, is a victim, which I could also not find what this was from. At the 57-second mark, text appears that reads, "The train came out of the long tunnel into the snow country. The earth lay white under the night sky. The train pulled up at a single stop." This is an excerpt from the novel Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata, a story about an affair between a man and woman separated by class. Directly at the minute mark, a quick screen flashes that reads, "I did love you once, so you should not have believed me." This is most likely a reference to Act 3, Scene 1 of Hamlet by William Shakespeare, which is when Hamlet tells Ophelia to get thee to a nunnery. Before that questionable and iconic line, Hamlet tells her, "I did love you once." Ophelia replies, "Indeed, my lord, you made me believe so," and Hamlet said, "You should not have believed me." Just a second later, another screen flashes with the text, "He thought. Peaceful sound, peaceful place," he thought. "Best of an island is once you get there. You can't go any farther. You've come to the end of things." He knew suddenly that he didn't want to leave the island, which is an excerpt from And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. A second later, more text shows up saying, "If you're Hythodalis, then I must be Morris," which upon doing some research, the name Hythodalis means a speaker of nonsense, specifically referring to the narrator of the book Utopia by Thomas More, whereas Morris means doom. The reference to Utopia by Thomas More paired with the word Morris basically means, if you're Utopia, then I must be doom, which also fits David very well since his villainous persona is very grandiose and expressive. I could see him saying something similar to this to Teruko, as this phrase could also easily mean, if you're hope, then I must be despair. Then at the 1 minute 4 second mark, a picture of a girl with yellow eyes, a mole under her left eye, and a blazer button up and tie holding what looks to be either a bunny or a rat appears. The screen flashes as she smiles and closes her eyes. It's possible that this girl could be Mai Akasaki, since in Chapter 1, Episode 6, she sees Teruko, closes her eyes, and smiles. However, this could also be David's sister, whom we learned about in Chapter 2, Episode 10. At the 1 minute 9 second mark, YouTube comments flood the screen reading, "Let's play Spot the Kamaida. Blank is like the Byakuya/Nagito/Kokichi of the cast," and "I like that blank is a protagonist who also plays the antag." Seeing that the name blurred out in circles has 6 letters, it's clear that these comments are referring to Teruko, who very much acts more like an antagonist or anti-hero than the typical protagonist. However, it's also important to note that it says the comments are from 4 years ago, 10 years ago, and 14 years ago. More comments appear saying, "Blank and blank totally swapped places from 3 years ago," and blank anyone from 8 years ago. "Blank will obviously die in Chapter 5. I just hope blank doesn't go crazy and kill in Chapter 3. That would be way too predictable from 7 years ago." And lastly, from 0 seconds ago, "Everyone in the comments section is a fucking idiot." To decipher these messages, the first one is Jay and RA totally swapped places, which is referencing the massive theory that before RA died, Jay and RA swapped clothes and pretended to be each other. So that would mean Jay is actually dead and RA is pretending to be Jay. However, I really dislike this theory and don't believe it in the slightest. blank anyone is referring to a character with a 4-letter name being the mastermind, so that leaves Nico, Wit, Rose, Levi, Eden, and RA. Taking into consideration which of these characters are more suspected to be the mastermind, this comment is likely referring to Wit or Rose. Blank will obviously die in Chapter 5 is decoded to David will obviously die in Chapter 5, as he's the only character with a 5-letter name. Lastly, I just hope blank doesn't go crazy and kill in Chapter 3, that would be way too predictable, which is most likely, I just hope Arturo doesn't go crazy and kill in Chapter 3, since I mentioned in my Mastermind video that Arturo fits the Danganronpa trope of the Chapter 3 killer archetype, aka the quiet, kind of unhinged character with an odd but interesting talent who is set up to kill 2 people due to a selfish reason and then loses it in the trial. When the lyrics say, "Make a lemon bomb," an excerpt from the story Lemon by Kaji Motojiro is shown reading, "I was absolutely taken with that lemon. The color, pure and simple, like lemon yellow pigment straight out of the tube, solidified, and perfectly shaped like a squat weaving spindle. I decided to buy just one. Then where and how do you think I walked? I walked to the street for the longest time. I was out in the town, extremely happy. For the moment I grasped the lemon, I sensed a slight easing of that curse so heavy on my heart. To think that this melancholy so pertinacious should have been diffused by something as simple as a piece of fruit, unthinkable, but paradoxically true. The heart is one strange and wonderful thing." At the 1 minute 22 second mark, a crossword puzzle appears with 16 answers. I completed the crossword off camera, and the 16 answers are the students of Despair Time, excluding David. The Roman numerals used in the crossword puzzle are scattered throughout the music video, but I'll start with whose number is whose. Number 1 is Xander, 2 is Rose, 3 is Charles, 4 is RA, 5 is Ace, 6 is Arturo, 7 is Jay, 8 is Nico, 9 is Levi, 10 is Min, 11 is Mai, 12 is Eden, 13 is Teruko, 14 is Veronica, 15 is Wit, and 16 is Who. In the footnotes, it says, in this situation, it is better to use full names instead of nicknames. Exclude our protagonist. He is not that person. This is referring to how David is not in the crossword puzzle and how David initially was considered the protagonist-like character of Despair Time before Chapter 2, Episode 11. Now, as far as him not being that person, does that refer to the mastermind or the traitor? I honestly have no clue, but that's my best guess. Moving on, the text shows a definition of electrocution at the 1 minute 26 second mark, which most likely references that Xander died of electrocution. To the right of the definition is a quote from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. It was much pleasanter at home, thought poor Alice, when one wasn't always growing larger and smaller, and being ordered about by mice and rabbits. I almost wish I hadn't gone down that rabbit hole. And yet, it's rather curious, you know, this sort of life. Then, a quote by author Anton de Saint-Exupéry appears reading, "To me, you are still nothing more than a little boy who is just like 100,000 other little boys, and I have no need of you, and you, on your part, have no need of me. To you, I am nothing more than a fox like 100,000 other foxes. But if you tame me, then we shall need each other. To me, you will be unique in all the world. To you, I shall be unique in all the world." Upside down, there's a definition or instruction paragraph of how to use a defibrillator. Then, in teal, another quote from the Flowers of Buffoonery appears saying, "A man crushed by reality puts on a show of endurance. If that's beyond your comprehension, dear reader, then you and I will never understand each other. Life's a farce, so we might as well make it a good one. But real life is a realm that I may never reach. The best that I can hope for is to loiter in the memory of these 4 days, so steeped with empathy. 4 days that count more than 5 or 10 years of my life. 4 days that count more than a lifetime." At 1 minute and 34 seconds, another paragraph appears saying, "He felt goose pimples quacking all over him as he gazed down despondently at the grim secret Snowdon had spilled all over the messy floor. It was easy to read the message in his entrails. Man was matter, that was Snowdon's secret. Drop him out a window and he'll fall. Set fire to him and he'll burn. Bury him and he'll rot, like other kinds of garbage. The spirit gone, man is garbage. That was Snowdon's secret. Ripeness was all." This is a quote from Joseph Heller's Catch-22. Right after is when we see the first clue connected to the crossword puzzle. Number 2, ego cogito ergo turbinis sum. Number 2 is for Rose. Cogito ergo sum in Latin means I am thinking, therefore I exist, or more known as I think, therefore I am, whereas ego cogito ergo turbitis sum means I think, therefore I am troubled, which could refer to Rose's photographic memory or her troubled past of being in jail for art forgery. Right after we see number 3. If you doubt, brittle things are broken. This message is for Charles, and it most likely references Charles' intelligence and attitude and how he deep down is somewhat of a brittle person, especially at the sight of blood and gore. Upside down in blue is more that reads, "And now here is my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye," which is an excerpt from Anton de Saint-Exupéry's The Little Prince. Next is number 4 from the crossword puzzle, which is RA, which reads, "Right now, why do you cry?" which is most likely referencing her emotional reaction to revealing her secret to Teruko and David in Chapter 2, Episode 5. After that is number 5, which reads, "Right now, why do you go insane?" which is for Ace, likely referencing his angry and hostile behavior. Underneath, there is upside down text that reads, "A cat has 9 additional lives," and to the right, there's text that reads, "I am but mad north-northwest. When the wind is southerly, I know a hawk from a handsaw," which is another quote from Hamlet, which is when Hamlet tells his friends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern that he is pretending to have a madness spell to find the killer among us. Next is number 14, Things Like Substance of the Arts, which is for Veronica. And then number 15 is shown saying, "Remaining ignorant isn't that happiness," which is for Wit. Number 11 is shown right after, which reads, "God is dead," which is for a mystery student, Mai Akasaki. Then at the 1 minute 53 second mark, it shows the definition of the Kubler-Ross method, aka the 5 stages of grief, with the number 20, with a little emoticon of sticking your tongue out. In the footnotes, the message connected to the number 20 reads, "It is considered by many to be outdated stated, providing little to no insight on human nature, referring to the 5 stages of grief. Then the screen shows Act 3 of Hamlet, specifically the infamous to be or not to be monologue. The screen flashes as it shows number 13, or in the to be or not to be, which is for Teruko. This is likely to represent Teruko's role as the morally gray protagonist by referencing one of the most iconic morally gray protagonists in all of literature, Hamlet. Afterwards, it shows the difference between on the contrary and notwithstanding. At the 2-minute mark, text appears that says, "What is the most important thing?" and then words with a question mark replacing one letter. Next, the word democratically flashes on screen with the number 17, which in the footnotes reads, "Not a real word, can't be found in any dictionary." Then the rules for the class trial in Despair Time appear in blue text. Then a screen flashes with a picture saying tallying votes with the number 12 and shows 16 votes for one person and none for anyone else. In the footnotes, number 12 reads, "Majority rule is known to be the fairest method of making decisions for a group. That's why murderers never complain when we voted for them to die." Then the screen changes to this piece of text. Voting results, everyone will be executed. There is no such thing as victory in a killing game. At the 2-minute 10-second mark, number 7 appears with its phrase, "Do it like that, let's live together," which is for Jay. Then at 2 minutes and 20 seconds, Xander is shown with the phrase, "If something is important, then it'll break and disappear." Then it shows number 16's phrase, which is question mark, "Go and cry," which is for who, the number 12, which is question mark, "But you're in my way, aren't you?" which is Eden's. Then we see excerpts of No Longer Human, Hamlet, Lemon, and Then There Were None, The Little Prince, Shoemaker by Levy, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and another novel I couldn't decipher. Another screen shows text that says correct with the number 13, and then a code of numbers, and then incorrect down at the bottom. In the footnotes, number 13 is the Chinese character for positive, correct, just, or straight. The number codes have to do with a QR code and a password, but this is yet to be solved by anyone. Then, the word mind with the number 7 is shown with the Roman numeral 6. The footnote for number 7 reads, 7 is considered an auspicious number in many Western cultures. Let's just skip it. And the 6th message is mind exercises 1, 2, 3, 4, which is for Arturo. Next is number 8, which reads, even if you try to think it, I don't know, Lameo, which is for Nico. Then number 9 is shown with the graph of what appears to be the orbital pattern of Jupiter, which is a reference to Shoemaker by Levy. Number 9's message reads, look aside from that, give me my usual medicine, which is for Levi. Then a musical score is shown in Tempo di Marcia, which is a marching rhythm. Then the text starts to point to various objects in the room. When it gets to the portraits of Teruko and either Mai or Xander, it says, portrait of someone dearly loved for Mai or Xander, and portrait of someone dearly unloved for Teruko. The word Arabidosis with the number 2 appears, which in the footnote reads, other examples include Drosophila, Melanogaster, and E. coli. Arabidopsis is a genus of small flowering plants related to cabbage and mustard seeds, and Min references this in her voice lines before the series came out. Then it shows dandelions with the number 18, which in the footnotes reads, AN, so's not very good at drawing flowers, LOL, which is just a note from the animator of what the flowers were. At the 3-minute 6-second mark, it says, main roles, David Cheam, Xander Matthews, supporting cast, Teruko Tawaki, Ari Nageshi, Hu Jing, and then Mai Akazaki's name is crossed out. There's also an unfamiliar name down at the bottom that looks like it says Mr. Naegi, probably referring to the protagonist of the first Danganronpa game, Makoto Naegi. Then a picture of someone holding a gun is shown with text that when translated means revolutionary, but the number 5 is shown, and in the footnotes it says, as the translation has been intentionally botched in many parts, it should not be considered accurate. At the 3-minute 29-second mark, another piece of text appears, which is from the Apology of Socrates, and then another excerpt from Hamlet is shown, this time from Act 5, Scene 2. Wasn't Hamlet wronged, Laertes? Never Hamlet. If Hamlet from himself be taken away, and when he's not himself does wrong Laertes, then Hamlet does not it, Hamlet denies it. Who does it then? His madness. If be it so, Hamlet is of the faction that is wronged. His madness is poor Hamlet's enemy. Then at 3 minutes and 40 seconds, it says, question mark, will you forget what you've done, I wonder, with the number 19, and then question mark, of course. In the footnotes, number 19 reads, a dialogue between two individuals that serves as a discussion of moral and philosophical issues. Then it says, question mark, I was satisfied, so I'll disappear. And that's everything I could find in the music video. There's probably hundreds and hundreds more pieces of lore in this music video, so if you find anything I didn't mention in this video, please let me know. And those are all the Danganronpa Despair Time mysteries that I will be talking about in this video. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the bell for notifications. Comment down below your thoughts on those theories or any theories you'd like to discuss, and leave some suggestions for future videos you'd like to see. See you all in the next video. Thank you so much.